WRVS-FM HD1 Elizabeth City State University. From the gridiron to the radio. This is ECSU Football Insider, only on WRVS 89.9.
Yes, Viking family, welcome to ECSU Football Insider. My name is Clay Mercer, and with me, as always, is the head coach of ECSU Football, Adrian Jones. Coach Jones, welcome back to the show. A cold day here in the Harbor Hospitality, but you got to feel pretty good. It makes you feel warm inside with the way the Vikings finished off the season.
Definitely feel good. Thank you for having me, Clay. But, when it's cold outside, you wish you was in the playoffs right now. But that's something that we'll have dreams of next year.
Yeah, I think the program is moving in the right direction. We'll talk all about what's to come for ECSU, recap the season, and give you a few more nuggets. And we got some special guests with us also here today, too. But before we get to all of that, Coach, let's talk about the 70-30 homecoming victory over Bluefield State. And, ECSU finished off the season with that 3-game winning streak. It was a game that I think meant a lot more than just a win in Roebuck. I think it meant a lot more to you, the student athletes, and really the program overall. What does this type of win do for the program moving forward?
Well, it sets the standard, that shows that we're a good football team, ended up 3-0 at the end of the season and going into next year, recruiting. We talked about the recruiting aspect of it. We had a winning season in the conference. It wasn't the season we wanted overall, but it makes it a lot easier for my coaching staff and me to go into a school and recruit a guy and talk to them about our program that we're building.
You talked about ECSU taking the title of homecoming crashers and how important it was to keep Bluefield State from spoiling ours. It seemed like the players took that to heart too and had all the motivation they needed to get the job done on Saturday.
Yep. We learned something about our football players on this particular week for homecoming. They were a little bit laid back, and I think my staff was a little nervous of the laid back, but we learned that the more laid back, the more fun those guys have, the more locked in they are. And you saw that on Saturday. So there's some things that we learned as a coaching staff to let our guys have fun, but make sure we keep it structured.
Yeah, and with that fun, we talked about homecoming week. There's so much fun that they can have, so many events happening on and around the campus. Seems like the coaching staff did an outstanding job keeping them focused all week long and understanding what it needs to be done on Saturday. Did this game feel a little bit more special than previous games in the Buck this season?
Well, it definitely was a special one. If we won when we won that game, that put us at 500 in the Buck. And not only that, our senior class, they set the foundation for this football program, and we're happy that they set that foundation for us to be a championship football team like next year. So we just look forward to it. It was very important that they ended this season with a bang, and like I said, setting the foundation for next year to get prepared.
And we're going to talk about those seniors in a few because it was also senior day, and we had to celebrate them and sent them out the right way. No question about that. There were so many highlights in this game. We won't be able to get to all of them here on this show, but it obviously started with that 100-yard kickoff return by Shamar Sutton. To do that in front of his hometown crowd, it had to be special for him. And it seemed like it definitely set the tone for this entire game.
Well, true story. He came to me right before in the stretch line and said, "Coach, if they kick it to me, I'm scoring." And he said, "If I score, I'm going to take my helmet off and I'm going to get a 15-yard penalty." And I said, I don't promote this, but I did say if he called that out like he did, that go ahead and get that 15-yard penalty.
Got you. So it didn't bother you too much.
It didn't bother me too much, but I act like I was a little bit mad just to show that I got some discipline on my football team.
Oh, man, a couple more TDs from running back Traquan Johnson and returning Chris Perkins helped ECSU to a 21-0 lead in the first quarter. I won't say it was a perfect first quarter, but you had to love the energy and the effort that was on full display in that first.
It wasn't a perfect first quarter, but it was a perfect football game that we've been looking for all year. We talked about it on this radio station each and every week, all facets of the game. We were very good on special teams. We were very good on offense, and we were very good on defense for the most part. And that's what you want. That team's record doesn't dictate how good they are. I think that we're just that good of a football team that we figured ourselves out. And my hat goes off to my coaching staff for working hard and putting the right pieces to the puzzle and making sure that we prepared each and every week.
Yeah. The second quarter would be more the same. 3 Viking touchdowns, including a couple of pick sixes from Chris Calhoun and Solomon Ford. ECSU 42, Bluefield State 0. The fat lady hadn't sung at this point, but Coach, you just had to feel good with the way the game was going and how the Vikings were playing all the way up through halftime.
Definitely was upbeat on how the game was going. When they started scoring, I got kind of upset, but at the end of the day, we got a couple crucial penalties that helped them, get into scoring range. But we had that mentality: something good happened, keep playing; something bad happened, keep playing. The game was out of reach. All I asked, if they score, we answer. Yeah. And I think we answered every time that they scored.
Every time. And they got the donut off the scoreboard in the third quarter, but ECSU will continue to find the end zone, just like you said, answer each of them. And that's exactly what happened. They will score, ECSU will score. That's the way the second half pretty much went. You didn't get that shutout that the defense obviously wanted, but still comfortably ahead, 56-14, heading into the fourth. And again, your overall thoughts on how the quarters were going all the way up until we get to the fourth.
I think that we had a great game plan. Nathan Hilliard did a great job against Bowie State. So even though Chris Perkins is a senior and he was healthy, I felt like it was only right for Nathan to start the game. But we got creative. Nathan and Perkins was on the field at the same time. We ran a reverse with Perkins. And it just shows that we got so many ideas as an offensive staff, and as a defensive staff and special teams that we got a lot of weapons that we can use to make this football team go above and beyond what they've seen before.
Yeah. Again, the final quarter would be just like the third. Johnson would pick up 2 of his game-high 5 TDs, and ECSU will roll to a 70-30 homecoming win, making all the Viking alumni and everybody in the stands very happy and making homecoming exactly what it needed to be. Finish off the season 4-6, 4-3 in the CIAA. That's the number that's really important. We'll talk about that in a few. But your overall thoughts on how homecoming Saturday went for this Viking football team?
It couldn't have went any better. Like everything, I'm a firm believer in doing everything right. Our guys that walked through on time, we ate together. Everybody followed the rules and regulations. Senior day went well. Getting those guys out on time. Everything went well, and you don't just score 70 points. That doesn't happen each and every day. That just shows the hard work and dedication that my coaching staff and my football players have put in and believing in the process that we're going through.
All season long on this show, we've talked about the potential. We see little pieces here. We see them putting together a good first half and trying to learn to win. Does this game show that what happens with the Vikings when all of the pieces come together? Do you feel like we saw that on Saturday? Oh,
yeah, you saw that. We're going to be a team to be talked about. Yeah, we're 4-6, but next year, everybody that we play better be about that smoke, because we're going to come out and we're going to work hard and we're going to add some pieces to this puzzle and just be a better football team. You heard the crowd, you heard the players, all they were talking about after the game was like, I can't wait till next year. And, that shows that we got something special.
Yeah. You talked about this all season long, too. That 4-6 record is very deceiving because you talked about that taking away the 2 big plays. And if ECSU could have done that, those losses would have been some wins for ECSU, including that very first game of the season. So a lot to build upon for next season. And you talked about using these last couple of games here to get us prepared for that what's to come next season. Speak a little bit about the mentality there and what the Vikings coaching staff especially will do during this upcoming offseason to get us ready for next season.
Well, I always talk about my spirituality. I have never been a very big spiritual person, but I started opening up that Bible a little bit more and listen to scriptures and stuff. And I think that has helped my growth as a football coach. At the end of the day, we didn't belong in the championship this year. I firmly believe that if we made it to the championship, we wouldn't have had a good outing. God puts us in situations that we can handle. And right now we were not ready to handle that stardom. I think we needed those close games that we lost. We definitely needed that blowout by Fayetteville State. And it made us who we are today. It humbled us to appreciate each and every day when we step on that football field.
Yeah, definitely. And it's great to be reflective as a coach. Again, you're continuing to build and get better and better as a coaching staff also. So that's wonderful to see. Obviously, the program is moving in the right direction. I think people will see that. I think it will reflect what people will talk about, especially in the preseason when next season comes. Again, that 4-3 is major to get that winning record in the CIAA. It's been a while, and ECSU finally got that. Talk talk about the celebration after the game. I mean, I wonder what it was like in the field house when the players got back there. Sure, it was just a celebratory time for everyone.
It definitely was a big celebration because it put us in, we were ranked 9th going into the season, and now we're tied for 4th. Mm-hmm. So when we get nominated, we'll be in the upper part, and it's going to be harder for us next year because we've opened people's eyes and they know that we're a good football team. So we just can't walk out on the football field and think that people are just going to lay down. They're going to actually take us seriously, and we got to play our best game.
Yeah, ECSU won't be surprising too many people next season from the way it's looking. But again, an overall great season of growth for this football program, and can't wait to see what's to come in the future. We're still going to recap this season. I got to ask Coach what were some of the highlights, some of the lowlights. We're going to get into all of that, and plus we got some special guests with us. So much more is on the way. Make sure you all stay with us. It's ECSU Football Insider, exclusively online at WRVS899.com.
Get your tickets now for ECSU football online at ECSUVikings.com.
This is ECSU Spotlight. The Department of Business, Accounting, and Sport Management at Elizabeth City State University prepares students for careers in a variety of business fields. From business development and management to accounting, ECSU's programs offer the technical skills necessary for success in a high-demand industry. Learn more online at ecsu.edu. Elizabeth City State University. Come to discover, leave to conquer.
Let's get back to ECSU Football Insider online at WRVS899.com.
Back here, ECSU Football Insider, and happy that you all are with us. Head coach Adrian Jones with me. Coach, again, an outstanding season for ECSU. Again, we talk about that growth and learning to win. The Vikings seem to figure something out here with this 3-game winning streak. As you look back at this season, we talk about the team learning how to win. Do you feel like the Vikings have figured that out?
I think we figured it out. I think that, it took a collective as coaches and players and believing in what we're preaching. And just coming together as a staff and as a unit, team wise, to dot our I's and cross our T's. But we can go into the off season saying that we're 3-0, to add on to week 0 when we play next year.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, it was more than just homecoming. It was also senior day. Can you speak a little bit about some of the seniors that were playing their final game in Roebuck Stadium on Saturday?
DeAndre Tolson, who's from here, Elizabeth City. You got E.J. Gatlin, who's from Elizabeth City. It's several other, Chris Calhoun, who had a great season. I had to work on his discipline side of things, but it was a joy to coach him as well. Yeah. And just all the many more, the Seaborn brothers, what they bring. But all our seniors, like I said, they set the foundation, whether they played or they didn't play. Like, the foundation is set, and I just appreciate those guys for what they have done. How did they set the standard? All those things are big for us. So when we do reap the benefits of winning championships, it's all because of that senior class that started the growth.
Are there some special moments or special games that stand out for you from this past season that'll just stick with you, especially as you get ready for the new season to come?
Well, the first one is my first win against Livingstone, of course. A memorable one also is Hampton. We had them on the ropes. We didn't finish, but I love the way my guys played. And then the last 3, I don't know the last time we've been 3-0. Won 3 in a row games, and how we did it. We went to somebody's homecoming and crashed, and then we didn't want to be our homecoming crash. The way we performed on our homecoming speaks volume. Yeah,
definitely. Coach, you've got a trio of coaches here with you. I want you to introduce all 3 of them, and we're going to chat about them and see what their thoughts are of the season that just ended.
Well, we'll start with the trenches. My O-line coach, Coach Manago, has done a great job with the offensive line, changed the dynamics of that room. I got Coach Istvan, Coach Holt, a.k.a. Coach Holt, my D-line coach, done a great job in the trenches as well. And then you got Coach Sanders, a jack of all trades, my running back coach. Of course, you know that we had Traquan Johnson, who was National Player of the Week and CIAA Player of the Week. Yeah. So just grateful for these guys to be in here today.
Yeah, and well-deserved. I mean, we're so happy about the way that they finished off the season. Traquan just had an outstanding game. So, again, congratulations to him. Coach Sanders, I'm going to come to you, talk a little bit about this 2025-26 season. Tell us a little bit about some of the special moments that come to mind for you when you look at what this team was able to do out there on the field.
Man, it was, of course, not the season that we wanted, but definitely something that gives everybody hope of what's to come. Playing in those games that are really close, and you look back in the history, and we've not been in those places. So it shows you the growth of the team and the direction that, Coach Jones has us in. Those guys understand kind of the standard of what we're trying to do, and they're committed to it. So, and that's when you get in those tight games. And now, like you said, there's just a couple pieces missing at this point. So we got to go out and we got to find those pieces that can get us over the hump so that now we're not playing, one quarter or 2 quarters. We're playing full games like you saw on Saturday. And we get those outcomes. It might not be 70 points every time, but it's going to be more and more, because we like to score points. That's the biggest thing.
One of the things that we have talked about is the connection between the players and the coaches. And it just seems like they're kind of just one and the same. They're connected with you all, and they seem to have an open door to kind of speak their mind. What has the coaching staff done to cultivate that type of relationship with these student athletes? Because they've got y'all backs, and y'all seem to have theirs too.
Yeah, I think we have real conversations. It's not like we try to belittle them or anything like that. We have real conversations, and that's what it is, just cultivating, men and growing them, because some of them might not have those relationships with anybody else. So it's really showing them that we care, and that we're about their success, not only athletically, but academically as well. So we want to see them do better. We definitely take their input, especially, offensively, of what they want to do, what plays that they feel confident in, and take their ideas. Sometimes they have some weird ones, but we'll still, try to fit those things in, to, appease to their liking.
Yeah. Coach Manago, again, thank you so much for joining us here today on the show. As an offensive line coach, it's important that the players work together on the field, and I know that's something that you work on. As I just talked about with the cohesiveness of this crew, have you noticed the connection with the players and the coaches is really coming together as the season has gone along? Oh,
yes, most definitely. I know one thing I preach in my room is we're not independent contractors. We're 5 different parts, but we move as one. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing I preach to my guys. And then my guys will tell you all the time, they're very open to me, have an open door policy. And I try to be relatable as well. That's the biggest thing. You got to be relatable because this generation is different. So, and everybody takes certain types of coaching different. So you just got to adapt to the person. So you can't be tough on everybody. Sometimes you got to love them. You got to treat players not different, but you got to coach them to their ability.
Yeah. And as you talk about the players and what they do, student athletes, I think it's just so important that they continue to be, students of the game. Have you noticed that the players have really stepped up and tried to understand how important it is to do film review and it is to do that work?
Yes, it's definitely important. I know one thing in the O-line room, them guys are very, very smart. They're very, very smart. And I think in the meeting rooms, too, though, you can see it, too, as well, because they always ask questions. Mm-hmm. When I first got here, the IQ wasn't like that. But right now, they're starting to pick up the whole picture. There's still some stuff we got to clean up, though, but we're going to get better.
Yeah. And again, that youth, they're young. Some of these players are so young. How fun is it, again, to work with the youth? Sometimes you got experience that comes in. They've been there year in and year out, but then you bring in new players. They're kind of bright-eyed. It's like a deer in headlights a little bit, but you see the maturation of them as the season goes along. That's got to be special for them.
Yeah, it was very, because they're so young, but, the fan base, they don't like to hear excuses, so I don't give excuses. I have 4 freshmen that played this year. One was a sophomore. To see them guys at the end of the year start to pick it up and turn around, it was just a thing of beauty. As a coach, you love stuff like that. And, I like to embrace stuff like that to make guys better.
Coach Istvan, I want to bring you in a little bit also. As you looked at this season, we talked about the growth that a lot of these players had from the first practice all the way to the end of the season. What are some of the special moments that come to your mind from this past season?
I mean, there's multiple, but the biggest thing that I recognized is like the players' development and the belief in themselves and the process and what we were doing. When I first got here, we were kind of trying to show them what our goal was, show them where we wanted to head, and get them to buy into the system. And it took a little bit to do it, but once they did, they started to roll, and you just see that spark go off in their eye. It's like they'd come off the field, and instead of me telling them, hey, you should have done this, they come off and they're like, oh, coach, I know I should have done this, my bad, like, I'll fix it. So they not only started to believe in themselves, but they started to believe in what we were trying to build. And once they did that, it was just watching them grow and watching them take part and ownership in what they were doing. And I think that's really what made that transition so much smoother for them.
Coaches always want to get better, just like the student athletes. Year in and year out, you want to see growth as far as what you do and the skills that you bring. And again, thank you so much for the work that you have done with these student athletes all season long. But what can you take away from this season, and what will you do in the off season to make you better as a coach, to make sure that you can continue that connection with the student athletes?
Yeah, so I mean, one of the biggest things, I'm this is my first year here, obviously, with a bunch of other guys, so I had to get to know them as they had to get to know me. Mm-hmm. And I think that, like Coach Manago had mentioned, understanding the individual, everybody can't be, yelled at in a certain way. Some people got to be talked to in a certain way, or they got to be explained things in a certain way. So I think for me, realizing how each individual person learned and how I can teach them at that level, I think that's going to help me in the future with the guys that I bring in, because you can't it's not like an overall thing where one way works for everybody. It's like everybody's got to have a certain way. And I think that's really what me as an individual is learning, is that how these kids respond and react to certain things is what's going to get them to be to their full ability. And I think the relationship is the biggest part. And that's always been my biggest thing, is like, if I want you to trust me and believe in me, you got to know that I trust and believe in you. So I think building that relationship with those guys from day one till now is what I'm going to bring into the recruiting in the future.
Coach, you and I have talked about this before, the trust that you have in your coaching staff. I know it's paid dividends this season, and just from hearing from the coaches that you brought with us, that trust is well warranted.
It's definitely a joy to be a head coach. I've been in this profession a long time. In the 8 years that I was at Shaw University, this is head over heels the best coaching staff that I've had. Mm-hmm. And I cherish that, and I'm looking forward to us building an even bigger and better bond next year.
I'm sure you're not looking forward to the off season in the way that there's no more games to play until the new season begins. I'm sure you get a little antsy. I know you wish you had more games to play. But what will the off season look like for ECSU over at least the next few months?
Well, the off season is one of my favorite seasons of the year. I get to get on the road and go recruit. I get to be an assistant coach. As an assistant coach, that's one of the things that I love to do, was go meet kids and buying into the recruiting side of it. And what better way to get on the road as a head coach? Because most head coaches don't get on the road and recruit, and that's my advantage. I'm telling our special recipe, but I like to build that relationship. And at the end of the day, when the check is cut, I'm the one that's cutting the check. So why not build that relationship on the front end?
Yeah, definitely. Coach, the season has come to an end for ECSU, but what you stated in our very first show, you said you were going to put out an exciting product for everybody to see, and I don't think there's a Viking out there that can say that that was not the truth, and you definitely did that in the coaching staff. So again, thank you to you and the entire coaching staff for the work that you put into these student athletes and the work that you put into this program and building it up. I want to give you the microphone. Take a little bit of time to talk to all the Viking fans, all the Viking alumni, just kind of give them some words from what we saw this season and what's to come for this Viking program.
Well, I want to first shout out some of our players that got all conference, that all got all CIAA this week. Taronio Combs, our offensive lineman of the week. Shamar Sutton, special team player of the week. Traquan Johnson, running back of the week. And lo and behold, Darius Satterfield had 2 kickoff points, extra points, had 2 touchbacks as a kicker on kickoff, and a 55-yard punt. And then long snap for our long snapper to kick an extra point was amazing. That stat was unreal. But that just shows you just the growth. But I had to give those shout outs to those guys. But Viking Nation, I appreciate your support. Thank you for believing in this program. It was a joy to see everyone smiling, shaking hands, saying that they can't wait till next year. But I promise you that you're going to get a much better product and more excitement in our football program. We're building something great. We're going to pack the stands even bigger and better next year. We got some special games already listed that you'll see sooner or later. We got a great week 0 game that we'll be playing down in Myrtle Beach. I won't tell you the other game after that. You'll find out about it. But I'm just excited about this program. I'm thankful for you guys having me here. And last but not least, I want to send a shout out to my athletic director, Mr. DeBose. He's done a great job of bringing me here. Thank you for believing in me and trusting the vision. You may have some feedback that people didn't like the decision, but I thank you for standing your ground and choosing me as your head coach. And I'm very appreciative of that.
Yeah, Coach, again, thank you and the coaching staff so much for the work you all do day in and day out. Bigger and better things are on the way for this ECSU Viking football program, and I'm happy to be here and happy to have this show to talk all about it to the listeners. So, Coach, again, thank you so much. Wonderful season. Looking forward to how the off season goes. Looking forward to next season, and we're here for you. Anything you need, let us know.
Clay, last but not least, I want to thank you. I've enjoyed this 10 weeks of being on this broadcast, and I'm looking forward to next year.
I appreciate that, Coach. And family, if you missed out on any parts of today's show or you want to catch up on past episodes of ECSU Football Insider, just go to the WRVS 89.9 YouTube channel as well as the podcast network and listen anytime. For Coach Jones, I'm Clay Mercer. Thank you all for joining us for a wonderful season of ECSU Football Insider. We'll see you next time right here on your community voice.
ECSU Football Insider is produced at WRVS Studios on the campus of Elizabeth City State University, powered by the ECSU Department of Radio and Television Services. Learn more online at WRVS899.com.